Welcome to the podcast. My name is Jamie Knight, and I'm a realtor with Real Broker here in Cajun Country, Lafayette, Louisiana. The goal of this podcast is to provide massive value by bringing insider access to our area's top agents and find out how they've been able to achieve massive success in their business. My hope is that you take away a few things from their experiences to grow your own business. My guests today are the former owners of District South Real Estate Company, Sean Hettich and Carrie Theard. They are going to share with us about why they made the decision to move their entire 50 agent brokerage over to Real Broker. So we're going to get you guys some really good insight on why that happened and some of their insight on where we are now after a year or so in the new model. So I'm excited for you guys to hear about why they did what they did and give you some insight into their thinking. So let's start with Carrie. Tell us about District South and what was it about the community that you guys had established at that point, and then maybe we'll let Sean have a little insight on District South as well.
Yeah, District South was, Sean and I's little baby that we created. He and I, we just saw the opportunity and the need in our town for this fun, hip, modern brokerage, full of top agents. And that's what we did. That's what we created. And, what we have going on now is really great, but that was something super, super special. And we're both very proud of that. And I think that all of the agents that were part of that really loved it as much as we did.
In the inception of District South, we kind of looked at the market and said, okay, well, Carrie was from the kind of more traditional local family style firm, very tight-knit group, traditional model. I was in the more corporate type of model. Decided can we take the advantages of the corporate model, the high splits, the 100% capping, and kind of blend that with your traditional family style firm and wrap it around a sexy brand called District South and bring it and see if the market reacts to it, which they did very well.
Nice. And it was somebody from the outside looking into it. It was a very attractive thing because I was with another company. Ultimately, I came from that other company to District South, but District South was such an attractive model for me. It was kind of when I was looking at making a change, there was really no other option than coming with you guys because of what you had established. For one, from a professionalism standpoint, from a top agent standpoint, from just the culture that you had established from that brand was just awesome from the outside, kind of looking in. So tell us about the moment that you guys said, okay, we've built this baby. We love it. We've got it exactly the way we want it. And now we're going to go ahead and just dissolve the whole thing into Real Broker. Tell us about your thinking into that.
I remember the moment because Sean called me up and he was like, hey, I need to talk to you. And look, it's fine. Like, you can tell me, like, if you don't like this, you can just tell me. Forget it. And I'll never mention it again, but just hear me out. And he sat me down in my office and he just basically showed me the numbers, and he said, Carrie, look, what we have was great. I mean, there's no arguing. We were in a really good position with District South. But he said it would be irresponsible for us to not look down the road and look to the future. It was what's happening. And these agent-owned models, looks like they're going to be taken over, so we need to pay attention to this. And he had done all his research. So he presented to me the real model and how he thought it would still be a good fit for us, right, as business owners to take our business into this direction, but mostly be amazing for the agents, because we really cared about our people. We were their leaders and we had built something for them, and we were really excited to present it to you guys, because we felt like it would put y'all in a better position also. So we just decided to make the move, and I agree with him. It was the responsible thing to do. We could have, kept doing what we were doing and made a lot of money for who knows how many more years, but agents are getting smarter. They're getting smarter, and they're going to be, looking around to be sure that they're in the best position for their business and their family. And we believe that this transition, this move we did with Real Broker really gave them that. So
yeah. So really Sean, happy. Tell us about kind of what attracted you to this particular model and what was your thinking like when you made that decision to talk to Carrie about this idea?
Well, I was nervous because I didn't know if she was going to kick me or hug me, or I didn't know what her reaction was going to be. But, I had been watching the market trends and realized quickly that, the market was changing. I mean, agents are 1099 contractors. They don't have a retirement, they don't get a pension. And so naturally they're going to gravitate towards the model that gives them the most opportunities in their business, because every agent is told, this is your own business. We as brokers, we don't owe you anything. But I kind of had to reflect on that. And I was watching the trends towards, and how well EXP had done, of course. And EXP had done incredible things in the agent ownership model. But for me, I looked at Real in its infancy, and I just thought that there was more opportunity to be a part of a new, still agent ownership, but being there at ground level. And I think that the agents would have more to gain. And really, Real still has just so much incredible upside. I mean, their management is amazing. Their back-end systems are amazing, whatever. So I kind of brought all of that to Carrie, and I said, hey, look, this is what we're looking at. And I think this is what the agents are going to need and want for their future. And part of that conversation actually was looking at how brokerage models have changed. So if you go back 40 or 50 years ago, it was all about the broker. What do you do for me as the broker? I will let you come to this firm, and then I will give you cookies at our team meeting, and then you go make the money and you bring me back and I get a piece of it. It was all about me, I. So in your traditional models. But that's not what agents want anymore. Now you can actually see how the margins flipped. All brokerages used to be 50-50. And then it went from 50-50 to 60-40 to 70-30 to 80-20 to 90-10. And then now it's over to, okay, now the broker doesn't even own the company anymore. Now the agents own the company. And now it's no longer how the agent can serve the broker. It's how the broker can serve the agents. And the agents actually own the company now through these new models. So it's just the whole thing is changing. And I think that there's just so much upside to the agent ownership model that I really just felt it would be irresponsible for Carrie and I to not try to be at ground level on the changes with that.
Yeah. And look, I can tell you, because I was there that day when you guys made the announcement about what you guys were doing. And, from the agent side of things, there was some unsure. I don't know enough about it to be excited about it. So there was a little moment where we were kind of okay, right now we need to just trust in Sean and Carrie. We know y'all's hearts. We know y'all's mindsets, and we know that you guys would never do anything to jeopardize us as your agents, so I knew I was comfortable in that, so I felt good about the opportunity. I didn't know what Real was. I hadn't really heard much about it at that point, but as I've gotten to get into the system, I've realized now that it's provided me the opportunity to kind of run almost my own brokerage. Mm-hmm. And an agent who's been in the business for 20 years like me, I've thought about getting my broker's license 10 times and have several times gone and done the broker class and then just never took the test. So it's I was looking for something similar to that, although I wasn't at the time necessarily looking for that. But I can tell you from an agent's perspective now, a year in to the model, or maybe a little bit more year in, I'm building my own network inside of the company. And I am taking a leadership role, and I am, training and keeping up with my, downline of agents. So it's provided a cool opportunity for me to build generational wealth. So, for me, I'm appreciative to you guys to give me that opportunity. And I know a lot of other agents in this model are thankful to that.
Yeah, this model is conducive to that, like you just said. So there are agents that want a team, let's say, or they work with their spouse or whatever. You can build essentially your tiny little own group or brokerage, right? And have the same benefits as owning your own without the liability, in essence, So I think that is a good thing too. But back to what Sean was saying, whenever we did make this transition, there are other brokerages in existence that have similar models, right? In fact, whenever Sean and I were talking about opening District South, he was trying to bring me to one of them, and everything looked really good, but I just didn't necessarily feel like it was a place for me. But with Real, I felt, and Sean felt, that they really aligns with our values. So I think that was the big reason why we went with Real,
versus another company.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, because I do feel like Real and District South as a company, as far as being the sleek, modern brand, as far as being the brand that people are attracted to, you know, from their presentation in social media to you looking at every major influencer that's on social media that's doing like really big things in social media right now. I always look and I'm like, man, I love their social media. I love it. And I'm like diving deep and they're like, okay, they're with Real. And just seeing that, like after a year, like that wasn't the case a year ago.
Right.
Now it's the case that more and more people are coming through. And I think we joined the company at what, how many
Like
agent
12,000?
count? 12,000 agents.
Yeah, we
11,
actually
12,000.
tipped them over the edge
Yeah.
to 12,000.
Nice.
Our firm brought them over.
And now we're up to 25,000 agents
Yeah.
at the brokerage.
Yeah, and there's just hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of agents. There's over 1 million agents in America. To think that, you know, I think that we're only at 25,000 agents at Real now. I mean, and the models, these models are just now taking off. So there's just incredible opportunity for, you know, agents to capitalize really on the changing market. And that's all it is. If you're your own business, like you have to make a smart business decision. And I don't see why any agent would choose a traditional model over the agent ownership model. It just like when I look at it, I'm like, why would anybody not want to do this? I can't see it.
Right.
You had mentioned something about like downlines and, you know, we know that it's publicly traded, so the agents get stocks and stuff. But I think there's a huge misconception with agents at traditional firms, when they hear about this model, is they're like, well, I don't want to be a recruiter. You don't have to. Well, I don't know anything about stocks. You don't have to. You know, if you look at like the three pools of the opportunity, first off, it's an 85-15 split, $12,000 to cap to 100%. And so from a transactional agent, if that's all you care about is transactional, it's one of the best splits and the lowest caps in the industry. But then you have to choose to opt into the stock purchase program. So if you don't care about stocks and that's not of interest to you, you don't have to do it. It's just an opportunity for you should you want to. And so the people that are intimidated by like stocks and don't understand it, well, learn it. That's how you're going to make a lot of money, is by learning something new. But of course, if you don't want to learn it or you don't want to know anything about it, you don't have to opt in, and you just have awesome splits. And the people who are like, oh, well, I don't want to be a recruiter. You don't have to. But the agents who do grow the company, they do have the most to gain financially as well. And so it kind of comes back to that thing that I was saying at the beginning of the conversation, which is like the broker serves the agents instead of the agent serving the broker. Now the agents are shareholders. They own a piece of the company. And so as the company grows, they, instead of going out and opening up 10,000 different District South locations, it's much easier to scale, and you don't have the liability, the overhead, or the financial risk or capital risk of doing so. You just have to build bridges with your common agents, and you can do that across the nation. So I think that like for the revenue share element of the model, people will naturally ask you about it. And so you have a good deal with somebody and you want to help bring them into the firm, guess what? You get a piece of what they close. And some people are more proactive with the agent attraction element of Real, and some people just do it kind of naturally, and some people don't do it at all. So like, I think that there's this huge misconception that to be at Real, you have to be a recruiter, or to be in this model, you have to like buy a bunch of stock. And I just don't think that people really understand. So that's obviously one of the things we wanted to talk about today. Kind of clear up some of these misconceptions.
Basically, what
sure.
Sean is saying, if you don't like money, we're probably not a good fit for you.
Right.
But if you like money, right, and you want to make money, and you would rather keep the money that you've worked so hard versus giving it to your broker, come talk to us. We're going to show you how it works over here.
Yeah, no, for sure. And you know, even in the beginning, when you guys presented the opportunity to us as agents, and you're like, hey, Jamie, you know, you need to do the stock thing and like that, all that. I was like, in my mind, like, I don't know anything about Real, so why should I care about the stock? So that was kind of my mindset. But I'm like, look, I trust Sean and Carrie enough to know, hey, I should just be a part of it. So I did it kind of just trustworthy for you guys, participating in the stock part of the scenario, even though I could have opted out of it. I opted in, and thank God that I did, because I've made 10x on my money.
Right.
Like over the last year, as Real has grown, like as a company from the stock standpoint. So that's great. So let's talk a little bit about like retirement, because that's a big factor, right? That most brokerages don't have a plan for, and that's true retirement for an agent in their brokerage. So let's talk about like retirement and like what that looks like in the Real model.
Yeah, well, I think I'll just start in saying that like the mindset of real estate agents isn't always planning for their financial future, right? Because we're making different amounts of money every single month. You know, some months we might have a horrible month, and the next month we're having a great month, and then it feels like, oh, we're so rich and everything. And then, you know, and then you're sitting here and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm getting older and older, and, you know, I haven't really planned, you know. And I think that if you talk to real estate agents all over the world, probably they're going to agree with me in saying that, you know. But with this model, it really allows for this. You know, you're being awarded these stock shares, and you're, you know, sitting watching them in your little account, and then you're watching it grow. And then as the company grows and the stocks become worth more, like it's happening. And to me, that's how I look at it. This is my retirement money, you know, some of it. So otherwise, if you're at another agency, you don't have the opportunity and that option to opt into anything like that. You know, you're essentially, you're giving that money to your broker, and here you're able to keep that money, you know. And I just think it's a huge difference. And some people may say, well, I'm not into that, but it's because they don't understand it and they haven't seen it. Like you're saying, you've seen it,
exactly.
You know, over the growth of this company.
Even like Coca-Cola or these large publicly traded companies, all of their employees get stock options. And stock, the more they're there, the more they earn. You know, they'll get little awards, and ours is more competitive, but you know, every publicly traded firm has stuff like this. If you work for them, they're just taking the model and kind of applying it to the real estate brokerage model.
Yeah. And I think one thing that I really liked that you had told me one time was, and you can expand on this, but you had talked about like what District South would be worth like at the end of the day. So talk to us a little bit about, share that story with them.
So when you look at the traditional models, the small to medium-sized brokerages especially, but even a lot of the franchises, nobody buys them. You know, sometimes they pass them down to somebody else, or they sell them. If they can even sell them, they sell them for pennies on the dollar. So when you think about it, like, is your brokerage actually a business if you don't have an asset to sell at the end of the day? It doesn't matter if it makes money. People make money trading cryptocurrencies, which is just crazy to me. But anyway, so is it a business, and if you have nothing to sell at the end of the day? And for me, like, the answer to that is no, it's not a real business. And so is being an agent really a business? Not really, because you have nothing to sell. They say you're a business and you're a 1099 contractor and you get write-offs, but are you really a business? No, because you can't sell yourself. What are you going to sell, your business cards? You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't make any sense. So through these models with the stock purchase program and the stock awards program, you now have an asset that you can accumulate over your tenure as an agent or over your tenure as a broker. And now you have a physical asset that you can sell, which is the stocks. And that is completely liquid. You know, it trades in the NASDAQ. If you want out of the company, you just go into your stock portfolio and hit the sell button, and you can make hundreds of thousands of dollars, and the cash is available to you within, I think, like 48 hours, and you can withdraw it directly into your account. So you have the liquidity, you don't have to find a buyer, and the multiple is better. The multiple of the stocks and the return that you get from the stock market is much higher than if you were trying to find a local buyer. So you have the asset to sell at the end of the day, where like as a broker or as an agent, you really don't have anything to sell at the end of the day. So that would be like one element of it. When we talked about the revenue share, you know, of course, Real offers Real retirement, where you can retire from the company as well. And this is for everyone, not just brokers. So if you're there for a minimum, let's say you go and you get 30, 50,000, 5 billion agents, it doesn't matter, and you're getting some revenue from them, from the agents underneath you every single month, whether it be $3,000 or $30,000 a month. Some of the top original agents at Real are making over $300,000 a month. The cool thing is you have Real Retirement, where Real lets you retire from the company, and that acts as us, because we don't get a pension as an agent, or as a broker. So this actually gives you that pension, so that passive income that we wouldn't normally get, right? Well, the crazy thing about Real Retirement is if you're there for a minimum of 3 years, and they have it scaled, but you get to keep your revenue share. So the cool thing is you get to you can sell your stocks and you get to keep the revenue. If I sold District South, I'm selling all of the revenue too.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's crazy. I get all of the liquidity, but I get to keep the income.
Yeah, which is
I get
totally
to sell
crazy.
the asset and keep the income. Like when you look at it, it's just like mind blowing how good it is.
Yeah, like imagine Target doing that. You know,
Yeah, I'm going to sell to
buying
Walmart, but I
yeah.
get all the profits forever. It just doesn't make sense. I mean, it makes perfect sense because they're rewarding you for building the company, right? But the other part of it, of course, that would be Real Retirement, which we don't get a pension like we just mentioned. The other part of it is it's willable. So imagine if you're a broker and if you pass away, automatically, state law, all the licenses that you have automatically go back to the state, period, immediately. So your business is basically dead. So if I have a wife and kids and I'm a broker and I own this brokerage, I pass away, the asset is gone and all of the income is gone. But with this model, they let you that you have the stocks. So you can have a beneficiary for the stock. So if I pass away, you can will the revenue share stream to your beneficiary or your loved one. So the income keeps going to your chosen, your spouse or whoever your beneficiary is. So the income stays in place, and the stocks also can be obviously put in your will. So the business and the income stay in place for your loved ones. Where that's just, for me, that was actually the most important part of it.
Yeah, I love that. So let's talk about the year. It's been a year or so, maybe a little bit longer, since we had made the transition. Carrie, what would you say? Have you been pleased with the year that we've been at Real, and what does that look like?
Yeah, well,
a year
I think
in
if
now?
we gathered everybody up in a room and we asked them, to look at their financial position, we're all in better positions, right? But for me, when we were District South, Sean and I were both still selling real estate, obviously. So we really were not in the position to grow our company much larger than what we were.
Gotcha.
Right. So like we were at 50, and we were probably pretty maxed out at that in regards to talking about how much time Sean and I had to be able to spend growing the company. So now we're at, how many agents do we have?
What do we have here?
Yeah, over 100
like
for sure.
130.
Yeah, like
that.
130 agents, and
So tripled in size.
right. And so not only have we tripled in size, but we've attracted these really, amazing top producers in our industry here. And a lot of those big agents probably wouldn't have come to District South for what we were offering at that time. But now, since it's a no-brainer, we're now being able to surround ourselves with these awesome agents. And that has been my favorite thing,
Yeah.
is all the people.
Yeah, and it says something about what we're building over here, that some of the top agents in the market, if not, like if you look at the top 50 or top 100 agents, like I was going down the list the other day and I was shocked to see at how much top tier agents have come to the model since the transition. Mm-hmm. And we went from the fourth in production for a real estate company to the top real estate company in the city,
right,
like overnight almost, with this new model. Like it just really blew up. So, being like the top brokerage now is something to say too.
Yeah.
And we all cheered when that moment kind of happened too, as we kind of just saw the numbers just climbing. Mm-hmm. We were like excited to see that.
Yeah.
And I don't know now if we can even be caught, because there's still so many top agents that are coming to the model in large groups. So it's
like Sean was saying, it's once you look at the model, it's hard to deny.
Yeah. So Sean, take us to the year your year in. Do you feel like your expectations have been met in regards to what your initial thoughts were about Real?
My expectations have been exceeded by Real. We got on the phone with the CEO, Tamir. He got on the Zoom call with us, and we asked him about their culture and their vision and all that before we decided to make a move, because we were really wanted to understand the management and the vision and the goal, because a lot of agents that were at District South, they don't even know that we really were considering a lot of the cultural aspect of what that would mean for the agents when we made that transition. But when you get 1 year on, or just over 1 year on, the company has grown. Of course, it's been awesome for the growth of the company, but watching the agents' wealth grow and just watching the systems have really improved at Real. Their back-end system is better. Their forward projections are better. It's just so impressive. I can't even begin to tell you how impressed I am with especially the leadership, the back-end systems, their file management system, like every little aspect. They're always tweaking it and improving it, and they're asking the agents for feedback on it. Again, they're trying to serve the agents, and how can we serve you? And that is their mentality, and which is one of the reasons why we really liked Real, because that was our mentality at District South, as you know, which is like, how can we serve you? How can we bring value to you? Because, brokers, we always say like the way I look at it is a broker's best client is their agent, and the agent's best client is their clients. Like I love the buyers and sellers for my agents when I was a broker, but I love my agents more. Without the agents, you don't have a brokerage. Right. So like we would always look to serve the agents, and Real has that same mentality, which is like, without y'all, we don't have a firm anyway. So how can we serve you? And so I really like that.
Yeah, and if you look into the management and the leadership, I had the opportunity to go to the national conference and got to spend some time with Sharon and Tamir and kind of get to know those guys a little bit more. And I mean, like, I even got to meet Sharon, and the first thing he asked me about was my podcast. Mm-hmm. He was like, "Hey, man, how's it going with the podcast, man?" Because I'd sent him an email just to say, hey, telling him what I was doing. And he was like, "Man, how's the podcast going, man? You really ought to incorporate video to it or whatever." So he just spent the time, and he remembered, of 25,000 agents or whatever, to remember that I was the agent that had the podcast and
cool.
that was doing something cool. And he was like, "Love it, man. I'm, text me the episode or whatever, and love to hear some more about it." It was like cool to see from the leadership standpoint that he's not like unattainable, and like those guys are just so like really about growing. He could have thrown me some fluff, but he was like, "Hey, incorporate video into your podcast." It just kind of gave me some ideas. But it was so neat to be able to, like, also another thing about kind of having the connections nationally was I came from like a small local brokerage, right? And our knowledge was kind of the extent of our brokerage and our training and all of those things, like in that particular model. And I'd grown as far as that model could have possibly taken me, right? So for me, what I've enjoyed the most about Real is like getting the national exposure of it, getting to be in the same room with these people who are doing 200 transactions, where the max transactions in our area might be 100 or whatever. So it's like getting to be in the same room with these guys, getting to be in the same room with these girls, like that's been huge for me to be able to like level up my business, but give me more of like a worldly view on my real estate business.
Right.
And I go into Real Academy a lot, and I'm constantly watching videos, probably every day, every other day, about these agents and topics that I'm like really into. So like from the broker standpoint, like the broker sometimes was a great producing agent at one point, right? And now they're training you and they're taking you like as far as they can take you with their knowledge of themselves as the broker. But I feel like you guys took me really far. Again, like I was able to level up when I came to District South a year before the move to Real, but now I feel like I've leveled up even more now at Real. And it just gave me that top level up, that it's kind of like there's no level higher than this.
Right. And
from an opportunity.
And like you said, being able to get in the room or like on the phone or on a Zoom with all these amazing people that you can learn so much from. And essentially you're being able to do that for free. There are a lot of people out there that aren't parts of organizations like Real, and they're paying like hundreds of thousands of dollars to be part of masterminds and all these things.
Yeah.
But you have access to all these people and stuff in Real Academy and going to the conventions and stuff. And I think that has a lot of value.
Yeah, for sure. So that's one of the things that for me, I enjoyed in the opportunity for a year or so, like really embracing it and diving in. But I'll tell you this, let's go ahead and give you guys maybe one more opportunity to, in this podcast, I also like to talk about agents who are struggling in their business right now. And at its core, that's what we're trying to do. So yes, I do think agents and people around our community are curious of why you guys did what you did and made the move to Real. But I also want to, at its core, give the opportunity to have you guys say a little words of encouragement to an agent who may be struggling or who's off to a slow start in 2025, because that's the core, at its core of the podcast. That's what we really want to talk about. So we're going to give you guys each a quick opportunity to give some encouragement to an agent, and then we'll close it out.
Okay, yeah. I think that the most important thing is to get out and talk to people and meet new people all the time and ask them for the opportunity to do business with them. You know, like when I first started, I don't know, some agent had said, yeah, you don't want to waste your time, like, you know, going list a $30,000 property or, you know, trying to work with a buyer that has a low budget. You know, you need to focus on higher end stuff. But I'll tell you what, some of my clients that have sent me so much business, I've met because I sold them a $30,000 property.
Yeah.
You know, like when you have a client, you need to be sure that you work so hard for them and show them what you can do for them. And they're never, ever going to forget it. They're going to call you every time and they're going to refer you out all the time. And that is how I built my business. You have to get out there and meet people. You have to talk to people. And sometimes you have to ask for the opportunity.
I like it. Sean, what you got?
It's kind of cliche, but you have to change. You have to look in the mirror and be honest with yourself and say, what are the top agents doing that I'm not doing? How are they presenting themselves, their business, their marketing? And it's kind of, change is going to happen with or without you, whether it be the brokerage model or whatever. And if you don't change, then you'll always be the same. So if you're not happy with where you're at, but you're unwilling to change, then you're going to fail, and you can't complain about it because it's personal responsibility. You are not doing the things that the market are requiring you to do to survive and strive if the market is trending down, or even if it's going good, like you can still increase your numbers. So even me, like when I reflect back, like on my business, like I didn't really ever really like to do video. But now I do video all the time, and I don't necessarily like to do it, but it is necessary for me to do it. And so I made the change because that's how the market is consuming data and material in like the most effective way. So just because you don't like it, now I actually kind of enjoy it. You know what I mean? Like it's not like I dislike it. Like I used to hate it, and then I moved to dislike, and now I'm like starting to have fun with it, you know? And so it's just one of those things where it's, you got to change. If we still did business the way that we did, even today, forget the brokerage model, but like think about we're talking about how the brokerage models are changing, but even look at the technology now. Yeah. Like if we did business,
if we still
faxed
offers,
if we still faxed offers and we still used the book, and we had to go and pick up all the keys. Yeah. Like if we did business now how we did it in the 70s and 80s, like we wouldn't do the volume that we do. So change is inevitable, and it's happening with or without you. So you might as well just get it in your mind to start thinking about like anything that is negative that you're not doing, instead of like having that negative Eeyore sort of mentality and the woe is me mentality, saying, I'm going to personally like confront this and get ahead of it.
Yeah. I love that. Well, thank you guys so much for sitting down and I guess giving everybody a history on why you did what you did, because I know there's a lot of people that were curious about that, because that was a big move. And, you know, I can say after a year in, I am very thankful that you guys did that move and that you put us first as agents and have given us all the opportunity to participate in this opportunity, which I think is something maybe that was, you know, I know you guys hoped that would happen. And I feel like that it did happen. I can say from me, and I can say from a lot of other agents in our group, that we appreciate that effort that you made and that jump that you took, because that was a big jump, because there's a lot of money you guys are making every year. And to go from that to selling the company, that was a big move. But, you know, from its core, it came from, you know, somebody that at its core said, I really want to do what's best for my agents and my people, and I'm willing to give it all up so that we could have an opportunity. And that's a great thing. We're hoping to do that as parents. We're hoping to do that as realtors. So I appreciate you guys doing that for sure. So it means the world to me and my family, I know for sure. So I appreciate you guys being on the podcast and being a part of it and all of your leadership and everything.
Thanks,
So,
Jamie. We are
welcome.
extremely
Of course.
happy to hear that.
awesome. Well, good, guys. Love you guys. And I hope that you guys are enjoying the podcast. Please send this to a friend or send it to a broker, somebody that may be curious to see why we did what we did and they did what they did. And if it may be something that you may want to consider for sure in your business. So guys, thank you so much. Please give us a great review. Please share it with a friend. And we really appreciate it. I hope that you guys have an amazing day.